Hi everyone, welcome to Vlogmas day 15. I thought today we would do a classic list video because who doesn't love a list? I've even got it on a piece of paper. So this is one I did film in 2021 when I last did Vlogmas, but things have changed since then. And so I wanted to bring you an updated list of 9 things I don't buy specifically at Christmas that I feel like most people do. It might not be that most people buy all of these things, but I would say most people buy perhaps like half of these things. Who knows? You're probably more minimal as an audience anyway, so you might agree with me with a few of these. And then just for fun at the end, I wanted to include one thing I do buy at Christmas, even though it's not a very minimalistic thing to do, but I do it anyway. So we'll start off with number 1 of the 9 things I don't buy at Christmas, and that is a real Christmas tree or wreath or garland. The main one is a real Christmas tree, and for most of these you will find that it's not because I have anything against that, it's just because I've got an alternative that works for me, or I've got some reason or another. So for me, I've talked about my Christmas tree in Vlogmas yesterday, and that is that it was quite an expensive Christmas tree. I got it in the sale, which is just a gem, but I would like to make the most out of it. As far as an artificial tree goes, I love it because it's got branches on that look like real fir tree branches. So they don't just look like your very stereotypical artificial tree branches. It looks nice and I love it. I love that about it and I get excited about that tiny little fact. And so I plan on using this tree for years to come, just because I love it and I want to make the most out of it, not only from a financial point of view, but also from the fact that, you know, it's been manufactured. I'd hate for that to be any sort of waste, and so I want to make the most out of my tree. As for a wreath, I have a wreath on my door. Again, it's an artificial one. I love it. It's very minimal, very elegant. I think it's meant to be like mistletoe-esque. It's got like very pale green leaves all around it and glitter and like little white berries, so I think it's meant to sort of have a mistletoe-y vibe. I've got nothing against having real ones. My sister actually runs a workshop in the village she lives in. It's a gardening workshop, and so at this time of year she's been very full on like making wreaths and things like that, and they do look beautiful, I can't deny that, but it's just not something I've ever done, so that's number 1 on my list. Number 2 is new decorations. Now don't get me wrong, in the past of course I've bought new decorations, it's how we all get things in the first place, but last year, as we know, I didn't put any decorations up. This year I've not bought any decorations because I remember the year before last year I had a big declutter of my decorations. I think in fact the year before as well I did, because I'd sort of accumulated so much. So I started to declutter and I've got down to what I'm happy with. And I've mentioned it already in Vlogmas that I don't even put out all my decorations that I own. I don't feel like that's essential. I know some people put every last little thing out, usually because there's memories tied to them. I don't. I'll put something out this year, and then maybe some of this I won't put out next year, and I'll put out something that I didn't put out this year next year, if that makes sense. So I have not felt the need to buy any new decorations this year. I haven't even looked, like when I've been in, I always think garden centres are a great place to look at Christmas decorations. I haven't even sort of been tempted to look because I know what I want to create in my head. This was mainly it. A couple of added features here and there, but as long as I created this, I was happy and I knew I had everything to do that. So I didn't feel the need to buy any new decorations. Number 3 is a Christmas jumper. I have had, I think, 3 Christmas jumpers in my entire lifetime, or at least my adult life, I can't remember before then, and I've got rid of them at various points, mainly because they just became too big for me because I started working on my fitness and all of that, and so it didn't really work having a baggy Christmas jumper, and it wasn't something I ever felt the urge to then replace. I don't feel the need to wear a Christmas jumper on Christmas Day. I'm happy just wearing my normal clothes, especially as I'm getting to a position where I really enjoy my wardrobe a lot more than I have done in the past. However, that doesn't mean to say I haven't had an alternative in years past. I do like to have like a nice Christmas Day dress, and I don't feel like this year I have a wintry dress to wear. And so I have been on the lookout, but I've not found anything. And I've got a friend's wedding coming up, and I'm going to a New Year's party. So if I can get a dress that would cater to all three of those, that would be great. I'm just very aware that I'm running out of time to actually get one, and I don't know when I'm going to fit it in. So that would be an alternative. I would rather have a nice dress on Christmas Day rather than, let's say, a Christmas jumper. Number 4 is stocking fillers. I have a stocking, and sometimes it has presents in, sometimes it doesn't. I am really just about it as a decorative item more than a functional one, to be perfectly honest. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the things that I would put in a stocking would be presents that are small enough to fit in a stocking. And what I mean by that is the usual presents that you would get. Or for me, if it was a small present I happened to send to someone else. What I mean by I don't buy stocking fillers is I don't buy additional, unnecessary sort of little bits and pieces, novelty items, things that are probably going to either get thrown out, donated straight away, sit at the back of a cupboard and not get a lot of use. Those are the things I mean. I don't buy those for other people. I don't particularly like receiving them myself. So as far as I'm concerned, an empty stocking is better than a stocking filled with sort of those little bits and bobs. And if I do have presents small enough to go in a stocking, I just put those ones in. But if it means there's nothing in my stocking, I really don't mind. Number 5 is Christmas bedding. I've had one set of Christmas bedding, which I had on my bed back when I still lived at my parents' house. But I think ever since I've been in my own house, I still had that one set, but about a year ago, I swapped out this is gonna sound really bonkers, I got a king size duvet. So I've got a double bed, but I thought a way of making it look nice would be to have a duvet big enough to like drape over the sides. So I got a king size duvet and 2 sets of like bedding, just white, you know what I'm like, white bedding sets to go with it. And so in fact, I think I've still got that Christmas bedding set in the airing cupboard, but it obviously won't fit now unless I dig out the old double duvet, which I'm not even sure I still have or if I decluttered it. But you see my point. If I wanted to, I could have gone out and got a king-sized Christmas bedding set, but honestly, I'm just not that bothered about it. You know, my eyes are closed when I'm asleep. I'm not exactly looking at it, and I don't spend an awful lot of time in my bedroom aside from being asleep. So maybe I'd feel differently if I was at home a lot, but I'm at work all the time or I'm busy doing something else, and so I don't think I'd really be around to enjoy it all that much. I'm not saying it wouldn't be lovely, and if I had sort of loads of surplus money, maybe it was something I did do, but it's not something I really feel is a priority for where I put my money to enjoy a good Christmas. Very similarly, number 6 is special Christmas crockery, like plates that are styled with a Christmassy theme, whether it's like a fun theme or a like classic theme. I don't have anything like that. I just use my normal plates and bowls and cups and things like that. I don't have anything special. I don't have any special glasses. I would just use whatever normal glasses I use all year round. And I don't even dress up the table that much. I will probably put a candle out or something. It really doesn't matter to me too much about dressing the table up for Christmas, especially considering there's only going to be 2 of us here for like a mini pre-Christmas Christmas where we're going to be doing Christmas dinner, and then I'll be at my parents' on Christmas Day. For me, it wasn't just something that was particularly necessary. I think I have plenty of nice stuff that will make the table nice without having to have particular Christmas crockery or placemats or things like that. Number 7 is luxury Christmas cards. Bear with. So I do still send Christmas cards, which a part of me kind of wants to phase out, but then a part of me also really likes it, and I think it can be a nice gesture, especially if there's someone you're not buying a gift for and you just want to send them sort of a note of well wishes and whatnot. So I am still sending Christmas cards, and I get like the named ones, like mum and dad for my parents and granddad for my grandparents, and then a sister and fiance for my sister, and I have one for my niece, and then I'll get a special friend for my friend. So that's 5 like named ones I buy, and then everyone else, like aunties and uncles, friends, work, all of that, they get cards just out of a box. This is what I'm talking about. So when I talk about luxury cards, this is the card that one of my aunties sent to me. It's beautiful, it's covered in glitter, and you get 5 of these in a box, and they'd probably be the sort that are about £6 for 5 cards. And if you've got a list of a lot of people to send cards to, that can very quickly build up. My sort of thing, this isn't one I've sent, this is also one I've received, but my sort of thing is like this, where maybe you get 10 in a box for £2. I'm more inclined to send cards like this. Not because it's not lovely to receive this. This is beautiful and I will probably keep it, but I know that the vast majority of people just throw them away. So I think you can have a nice Christmas card, send a nice message, have it be a little gesture, well wishes, and it not have to break the bank. This is beautiful. This is all right and it does the job. I'm more of a this kind of person, as I said, with the exception of the named few that I get. Number 8, I'm sure will come of no surprise to any of you that have watched my videos in the past, and that is I won't be buying in alcohol to have at home. I have absolutely no problem in buying alcohol to gift to other people if I know that that is something they partake in, but I don't drink personally, and so I don't buy alcohol as part of, when you're planning for your Christmas dinner, you're planning for what you want to have in as food over the festive season, alcohol is nowhere to be seen on my list, which is brilliant because Christmas food shopping can already be quite expensive. Alcohol really ramps that up, especially if you like a celebration around Christmas and New Year and you want to crack out the champs. That can be really expensive, but for me that's not something I particularly have to worry about. So it's a good way to keep the food shop cheaper as well. And my last one, number 9, is Christmas crackers. I don't mean like crackers that you eat, I mean crackers that you pull. I'm assuming most people know what I mean by that, but just in case you don't, it's like a tube and it's made of some sort of like papery, foily sort of material tied at both ends, and it's got like a little snappy thing in the middle. So when you pull it, it makes a bang. And usually there are things inside them, depending on whether you buy like cheap ones or luxury ones. You usually get a paper hat, a joke or thought of the day, little poem or something in there, and then a little novelty gift of some description. And depending on how much you spend on them, your gift might be a little bit nicer, your paper hat might be a bit higher quality, you get the idea. For me, they're great to have, and when I've been out for Christmas dinner already this year, I've had one on the table. You know what, I will partake if someone's left one for me. And I know for a fact when I go to my mum and dad's house at Christmas, they will have them. But for me, it's not something I really see the point in, because everything that comes out of it just goes in the bin. I think with the exception of when they used to do the little packs of 3 screwdrivers, they're quite handy, aren't they? I've got some of them in my utility room cupboard. But other than that, I think most of them are pretty pointless. And I always feel like they're quite expensive for what you get. So they're on my list of things I don't buy. They're not on my shopping list for Christmas. And to be perfectly honest, when my mum finds out that I'm doing Christmas dinner here for 2 of us and I don't have Christmas crackers, she will probably send me away with 2 to put on the table. She will probably insist that I take 2 of hers to have, but I won't be buying them, that's for sure. And then that brings us to the fun one. One thing I absolutely do buy at Christmas, and as I said, I think this is really not a minimalistic thing to do because the thing I'm talking about is quite bulky and I've already got loads of them, so the need to buy a new one most years at Christmas is probably a bit excessive, but that's a board game. I love a board game and I love getting together with the family to enjoy it. I think 2 years ago I got backgammon, and then over the course of the years, like it's really hard for me to remember year on year, I got Articulate, Pictionary, Scroll, we've got the Logo game, Rummy Cub, like a whole compendium of different games, chess, Jungle Speed, Dobble, the Sherlock Holmes game, one of the Destination, there's so many, like my cupboards are overflowing with games. Some of my games are still at my mum and dad's house, even though I've lived here for nearly 5 years, because we just have so many. I've not picked one yet for this year. I don't know that I absolutely definitely will, mainly though because of a time constraint. I like to go into John Lewis and have a browse, but I don't know when I'm going to get the chance to. So I've not bought one this year, but even if I don't, it's not like we've not got plenty already, but even though it's not very minimalistic, I would happily buy a new board game every single year for Christmas for myself and family and friends to have a good night in and just enjoy it. So that's all for this Vlogmas. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know yours down below. What are the things you don't buy and what is something you absolutely do and you don't even care what anyone thinks? You always buy it at Christmas and it's something that you enjoy. Let me know down in the comments. I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, take care. Bye.